Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4. Not Kai's, right? The New Order as Germany. Let us continue on from where we last left off. So we are currently sending a lot of negotiations basically everywhere. We're sending to Poland, we're sending to Slovakia. We've already dealt with the Dutch and the Danish. And I need to do more political power so we can actually deal with the Crimeans as well. But that'll come in time. Preparations of the Danzig negotiations. The diplomats have worked feverishly for days, laying the foundations for the impending negotiations of the new Polish government. The task has been far harder than they had imagined. For starters, there are very few Polish speakers left in the foreign ministry, let alone the wider German government. Poland has been declared a dead language, useful to only historians, just one of the many untruths in the late Hans Frank's reports to Romania. Much of the work is now complete. They found a handful of Polish translators identifying their red lines, and even settled on a menu for the working lunches. A formal banquet that would be too good for the Poles. All that remained was to send the invitations and to prepare the city where the negotiation would take place, Danzig. The city that had been the start of the cause of the last war would now play host to the negotiation to prevent the next one. It was an ironic compromise for the Poles to be unwilling to travel to Germania, and the Reich's diplomats would not set foot in the hostile territory. Whatever happens now, history will be made again in Danzig. And the Great Hungarian Game. For a year now, Hungary has been unwilling to participate in the German sphere of influence, both military and economically. Times are perhaps changing, however. Although both countries share a leadership that leans to the right on the political spectrum, that was where the similarities end. Hungarian sentiment towards the Germans is almost non-existent at this point. Any goodwill Germany still had with a small country ended when it stood by as Hungary's neighbors tore her apart at the moment of weakness following the market crash of the 50s. It is hardly surprising that Hungary is keeping its options open as the Reich recovers from its disastrous civil war. The Italians, perhaps seeing a prime opportunity to undermine the Germans, have begun to reopen diplomatic channels, with there being talks of possible Italian investments in the economy and a mutual defensive pact. Not to be outdone, the Germans are likewise now taking special interest in their new neighbor and historical ally. It seems like the two are now direct competition for each other once again. And what are the prize for such a high-stakes game? So the Italian-German Great Game. Fund the Arrow Cross. Train Pillar Military. Let's fund the Arrows Cross. So we are on turn 1. We have won no turns. Hungary and Romania, ever since Italy and the Reich split from each other, these nations have been a constant diplomatic game of influence. The Great Game is played in 5 rounds, and the best of 5 wins. Unlike the game Sette e Mezzo. Both the Italian and German match will face a series of decisions or cards in each round, following a random base of diplomatic efforts in a never-shifting game. The goal is to hit diplomatic success, represented by the value of 10, with the Germans represented on the left-hand card and the Italians on the right. However, the art of diplomacy is a fickle thing. Push too hard and over 10, then the round is lost. If both parties go over or stay below 10, the higher value wins. Adds 2 to 3 points. I have 8. And the Italians are at 3. So actually, I might push my luck a little bit too much. Train Pill Militaries. What does that do? Adds 2 to 4 points. So this is less risky. But it's very, very possible that I slander things with the Hungarians and push them towards the Italians. I'm hoping to not do that. But we'll see. Okay, so we can now intervene in South Africa. Show propaganda. Show reinforcement decisions, equipment, propaganda. What do we have in here? Thing is, I have like no political power. I can send him guns. Sure, there we go. Send him some rifles. Involvement is low, protests are small. The Führer and the Reichskommissar. The gray static on the TV screen warped into the image of a suited man behind a desk. The expression stern but respectful. Good evening. Earlier today, our leader met with the Führer of the Große Reich in what can be confirmed as a friendly discussion regarding Dutch policy. Following their private meeting, the two leaders gave a brief and informative conference before the Reich's press. Screen cut to 2 men, one small and stocky, the other tall and slender, strolling into a large room and shaking each other's hands with big smiles. A cacophony of clicks exploded across the room as the leaders were lit up in a white light. Von Gerkirchen turned to the cameras with staunch countenance. To my fellow Dutch people, I am both proud and honored to announce that the old practice of cultural Germanization has been substituted with a brand new system of cultural allegiance. The Dutch state of Deutschland is proud to stand side by side with the German Reich, our friend and protector, to whom we owe our loyalty. Bormann faced the camera awkwardly. The German and Dutch peoples are racial brethren. Dutch culture, aligned with German ideals, should be celebrated throughout the nation. He turned to Von Gerken to shake his hand again, and once more the cameras erupted. The newsreader returned to the screen. We are grateful but not surprised that the tentative window of the later has brought us a cultural autonomy. At this conference, the Führer hosted a grand ceremony in which the later, who was already accepting the esteemed proposal of Reichskommissar, was formally granted the title in the presence of NSDAP ministers and Weimar officers alike. So we will replace penal labor with work programs, consumer goods, replace civil service opt-out with generous exemptions. Oh no, this is for the Netherlands, which I don't care about too much. But you know, they are now a puppet of ours. I'm very happy to see that. And how is our ally? I mean, again, South Africa is not doing very, very well. Bratislava refuses. The fools of Slovakia have gone against German gracious offer. Our diplomats returned to Germania empty-handed. Slovakia intends on defying the Reich. The hair has been rallied and our men are moving south. Into the Carpathian Mountains, there is only one victory that can possibly come from this. We're going to declare war on Slovakia. I literally don't think Slovakia has an army, so I don't think this is going to take too long. We're going to have you drive your way down towards this city. I don't think the Hungarians are going to get involved, but we're at negative 47% stability. My god. I did not know we were that bad. I guess because we're at war, it's a negative 45, huh? That's pretty awful. That's really bad. Okay, we can do some more actions here. The militarists are actually more powerful. Okay, so I actually, with the military, I want to add more loyalty for the conservatives here. They're now allied. Fantastic. That actually will give me a lot more power here, I'm assuming. 36. So we're tied here. Can I get a more? No, not right now. Is there anyone else we're actually pretty close with? We're never going to get the intelligentsia on side. The banks, though. It costs 20 points to do this. Okay, I don't have political power. But the banks are pretty close to being on our side. Who are the Simons? You are... They're like computing electronic manufacturing. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to worry about the Air Force too much. I don't think it's necessary to send all those planes out. Okay, what do we want to research? Let us go. Again, we have 64. Boom, done. Bratislava has fallen. Slovakia has now collapsed. And the Italians have won their war against the Greeks. That is fine. You guys now need to be on the border here, I would say. And one of your extra divisions will assign over to the Swedish border. Sounds good to me. So we're at a perfect 10. Okay. So does that mean that we have succeeded? Because we want to get to 10. We're at 10. So I don't want to press any more buttons. We don't want to overplay our hands. And the question of Polish autonomy. After halting an awkward exchange of credentials, the German and Polish negotiating team took their places on opposite ends of the oak table. Both sides sat stiff and inflexible in their seats, anticipating a long and arduous discussion. Surprisingly, the Polish lead negotiator opened with a clear and concise statement. Though we are representatives of a free Poland, we are keenly aware of our material disparity with the German Reich. There is no distinguishing that fact, or no disguising that fact, and accordingly, we will not camouflage our aims behind implausible fictions. While we welcome this opportunity for discussion, if our minimum guarantees cannot be met, then we will spare ourselves this last fiction, and Polar's honor demands it. The German delegation digested the statement, both irritated at the Poles' presumptuous and relieved by their bluntness. It seemed negotiations would be short. The autonomy of the Polish Republic must be guaranteed. Non-Polish authorities, military and civilian, must not infringe on internal affairs and works of the Polish Republic, its legislator, or other organs of state. So we can either agree with this. Non-Polish authorities, military and civilian, must not infringe on the internal affairs. I'm willing to work with the Polish, at least a little bit here. We'll sign you over to here is fine. Are we building units? Yeah, I guess the AI started building units on their own, huh? Well, we'll just build like an infinite number of them. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. Just build whatever. It should be fine. Yeah, we're at 20 political power. And we should... Okay, we're gonna win this first hand. We're at 10. The question of German colonization. Nobody moved in their seats, fragile silent, punctuated only by ticking sounds. The German lead negotiator nodded while his aide noted down the Polish demands in a notebook. The Polish negotiator continued to read out demands. German colonization of Tsar and Polish territory, as well as the forcible assimilation of Poles in the German ethno-linguistic sphere, will end immediately. The German negotiator leaned forward. Wait, imprecision will be the death of us all. Define sovereign territory. Claimed or held? And what becomes of the Germans who remain in territory held by your organization? As I said before, these are the minimum demands. Any Germanization policy stops from this day forward, and the Polish shall be allowed to be Poles in Polish lands. The Polish negotiator didn't break eye contact with the German part. Everything else is open for negotiation. We'll stop the German colonization. We will take... I mean, the extra political power by itself seems pretty good. The next great game turn. The new great game turn has begun. Use decision menu to manipulate the situation in your favor. I mean, it's already, like, we're already at 10, right? Again, we're the left side. Yeah, so I'm assuming after 41 days, this ends. The question of documentation. After a quiet huddle among German negotiating team, the German diplomat responded. I look forward to continuing negotiations then. The Polish negotiators expressed hardened. The Germans were clever. There was no doubt they'd be in trouble as negotiations continued. But it'd be having the Weimar storm the border. In a weak position, that could have been well enough. The government, lands, people, culture, language, and all other associated institutions that are formally recognized as Polish, they are to be referred to as such in any and all official documentations, diplomatic communications, and government policy of the Greater German Reich. German delegation pursed their lips. While the question logically followed from the question of autonomy posed earlier, the legal terminology of various states in the Eintracht posed specific problems. Accepting the demand would make Poland, for all intents and purposes, more similar to a pre-Civil War kingdom of England and a French state. According far more respect and prestige than the colonial Reich commissariats that have controlled much of Eastern Europe. All on Germany's doorstep. The question, so simple in writing, was momentous in the implication of the Eintracht. The Germans withdrew to a huddle once more. So basically, are we going to allow Poland to be a greater state than the Reich's commissariats? Again, I think for right now, we're okay. Keep deploying units wherever. Also, you should all like be deploying in like Central Europe or Central Germany, I guess I should say. Okay, we have more foreign policy decisions. Was there anything else we want to really do in South Africa? Like, we're already winning. The protests will decrease. The church gains more power. The reformers are getting a lot more power. Bormann read through the proposal, blinked thrice, and read it through again. Negotiator Danzig had come through with something infuriatingly unexpected. He expected them to fail, and for the tanks to be rolling across the border in a matter of hours. Instead, they came with a document with a list of Polish demands, along with their own observations for what the Reich could stand to gain from these talks. Demands, those Polish swine thinking themselves worthy of dictating in terms of Greater German Reich, autonomy, an end to colonization, and elevated status within the Eintracht. Bormann scowled. He would crush those Poles with his hand, instead of running for the hills like 1939. But he knew that the party and the world were watching. He had to reach for forces first option, keeping everyone in the party guessing, and the world hopeful. And he read through the rest of the document. He saw the ploy for the negotiators taking shape, the full forfeiture of Polish territorial claims, guarantees for the rights of what German remains in Polish-held lands, and an open market for German corporations. Poland would be free, but only in name. And wouldn't that be enough? So what are we at right now? We have 49.9% of the power. Let's fucking go. I want to get them more loyal towards us, though. If the military are on our side, that is great, great news. Like, it's really important that the military is pro us. But we now have like by far the most power in Germany. Okay, we have another infantry division. We'll send you over to the border with Sweden. Okay, not that I'm really expecting to invade Sweden, but it's just something that we need to keep in the back of our heads. Just in case anything too dastardly happens. Let's just put it like that. Okay, the Welsh Revolution. They have become despots. They're a military junta. I'm not going to worry about that too much. Maybe we'll even side with us. The Warsaw's response. And with this being taken into consideration, Republic of Poland unconditionally accepts the Greater German Reich's protection and for mutual benefit for our two great nations. Warm regards, President Emil Fedorov. Orban grinned around the cigar clenched between his yellow teeth. The corner rats accepted their fate. He stood and strode over to the window, gazing upon Germania with a gleeful look plastered across his rounded face. So much for the Polish spirit, A peasant race will always be a peasant race, well. The foreign minister gave a wan smile and stowed away the Polish government's response in his pocket. Quite right, my Führer. If only all Slavs could be so cooperative. Cooperative? Bormann rolled his eyes at the subordinate's obvious misunderstanding. Poles don't know the meaning of the word, well. No, this is just Slavic animal cunning in action. They think this will be a permanent arrangement. That they will have the chance to build up their strength for some... He was at a loss for words for a moment, waving a cigar in the air. Some kind of future. As if those peasants ever think they could have one. Mark me, Walter. This only lasts until we just have a final solution to our Polish question. Hamill Stomach turned at the thought of what the Führer might have in mind, but he still found the will to smile faintly. Congratulate his master and slip away to contemplate whether they could get away with that again. The Poles know their place. Okay. So Albert Foster is now in control here. So you are a Reichskommissariat. But we have Poland, FTD coup in Paraguay, assassination attempt on somebody else. So Paraguay is also now gone National Socialist. So presumably they're going to be pro-us. By the way, when are you done? Turn 1, 26 more days. Again, I do not want to click any of these buttons because, again, we're at a perfect 10. There's really no more better we can do. Okay, the Liberals have been elected in Colombia. That's fine. So who do we want to get next? I think, like I said, was it the... Not you. Somebody was opposed to us that I thought we can get on side. The church is actually in opposition now. Okay. More loyalty, please. There we go. We're now allied with the church once again. And with 100 political power, what do we want to do first and foremost? I need to deal with Crimea. And we can deal with Ushland. Okay, return to the fleet. Sources exclusive to the Volkswagen Bielbrücke reports that with the end of the civil conflict within the Reich's heartland, the Kriegsmarine currently stationed in Krim are finally making preparation to return to Germany. Admiral Karl Dons, who commanded this fleet, be removed from Germany during the conflict in order to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. Reportedly approves of Führer Bormann's succession and his heartfelt work to restore peace. Admiral Donner's reputation precedes him, and few of the pretenders voice objections to his absence, either fearing his ire should he turn his fleet's guns upon them, or foolishly hope to curry favor with the event of a victory. The Admiral held true, however, refusing to put his ships at risk of anyone other than the rightful Führer. The Führer expected to roll out the red carpet for his friend and ally, and no doubt honors were in order. Readers with sons in the Kriegsmarine will no doubt be relieved to know that our boys are coming home. Okay, so the government did Krim. Crimea is now once again allied with us. And they do have a border here with the Ukrainian Soviet Social Republic. I don't know if we're going to actually have to intervene in Ukraine, but we'll see. Ireland seeks to rejoin the pact. Now that the rival government of the German Reich has triumphed, our old allies seek to join us once again. This time, Ireland has requested to join the pact once more as the Bundespartner. This request particularly coincides with the fact that Ireland is currently suffering from the economic crisis. Thankfully for them, we felt generous to accept our old Gaelic partners in our sphere to maintain our control over the European continent. With Ireland back on our wings, we regained our strategic position to project our naval power into the Atlantic. Piece by piece, we are recovering from our old strength, showing the Japanese savages and the American plutocrats that the Reich is back in the game. Okay, fantastic. So how are we doing in terms of the Cold War? I'm sure we're still, like, dead last. Yeah, we're dead last by a lot. But hey, I mean, we did have... You know, we had a big war, so I don't know what else you would expect. The Jade Harbor. The harbors of Williamshaven had not been so full in years. The bustling activity of the Jade Blight have been driven to a fanatic dash for positions against the vast warships that take over the harbor, sitting there like great icebergs. The Kriegsmarine long absent from fanatic battle have been defined in the recent times, had returned. Okay. The Weimar is once again whole. Well, the Kriegsmarine gets more power. And again, the Kriegsmarine is allied with us by quite a significant amount. Thank you for smoking. And so, Boardman begins scribbling his signature at the bottom of the document. The will of the people is written into law. Let us pass around the body and blood of Christ in celebration. With a grin of victorious mockery, Boardman opened his silver cigar box and passed its contents to 3 other men gathered around the table. Central African, Balder von Schritt nodded approvingly, smoke stemming from his mouth and nose. The sales will skyrocket when this law comes into effect. It was a stroke of genius to lift those smoking restrictions, my Führer. General Koffer nodded eagerly, sucking on the cigar and exploding into a fit of coughs. Von Schritt rolled his eyes. After the horrors of the Burger Creek, the people need some relief. Boardman smirked. It just so happens that the will of the people is the will of the Führer. He took another puff and turned to Werner Neumann, who had opted not to smoke. Werner, I want the RMVP to start producing pro-smoking propaganda, reverse our stance completely, but connect it to the late Führer. After all, Hitler himself told me on his planes to lift restrictions had he laid on his deathbed. Smoke does not harm the Aryan body. I don't know if that's true. Oh, war in the Ostfront. Yes, yes, yes. Let's deal with the war over here. Can I get directly involved? Because this is going to... Remembering a hero, the intervention, Furfur intervention saved Oshland. I mean, they do still exist. So, we want to intervene basically as quickly as we possibly can. Oh, this episode's got way too long. So I'm going to end it here. So thank you for watching. My name is Ansel. If you enjoyed, thumbs up. Not doing, thumbs down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.